one of the guys that get a lot of credit is Steve Blackman from Muscular development. I mean, those guys have done an extraordinary job for years and years and years to promote health, to promote fitness, to promote strength, to promote bodybuilding, powerlifting, weightlifting, and all of those kind of things. So the contributions they made is gigantic, and I hail them for that.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest here today. He needs no introduction, but of course, we got to introduce him anyways. Give it up for the Governor himself, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Oh, I don't know. I know they used to call you the Oak, but this is impressive.
Is it the Oak?
I believe it's Oak. It should be Oak.
How do you know? Have you checked it out?
It's not my homework.
So we just believe it when someone says it's Oak. You got to test it.
Would test it, yes.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
It's really good.
And Franco, of course, yeah, these are exquisite. I mean, these are.
No, very good. Is the guy here that is sculpting it? Where is he? Oh, you're right here. Yeah. So let's give him a Because, first of all, thank you for having us use it right up here on stage. And I know that you were one of many vendors that came here to go in to display your great work and to sell some of your work. And we were shut down because they told us we cannot have the expo because it's a gathering of around 250,000 people. It's the biggest fitness, sports and fitness festival in the world. Yeah. And then through a lot of negotiating and a lot of arguing, we were able to keep the sports events and this seminar here today. So we were very happy to at least keep that. But so thank you very much for letting us display it right up here on stage. So you've been really gracious, and you're a great artist, as we all can tell how extraordinary this kind of sculptures are and how much work went in there. How many hours did it take? So each one took 6 months to do. You know, to work on it every day and with various different tools and all this stuff. I mean, it's like, give him a big hand for that.
I couldn't help but notice, so we've got yours, Prominent, and Franco, but your buddy Stallone didn't make out too well. He's way over there in the corner.
Well, if it would have been up to me, he would also be up here on stage, because I think that Sly, even though he didn't win any bodybuilding competitions, but he was always a great inspiration to so many millions of people around the world when he comes to staying fit and being, I mean, when you think about the shape he was in Rambo, right? That was unbelievable how ripped he was. And so, I mean, so he was a great inspiration. He's a good friend of mine. And so I would have put him also right here somewhere on the stage. But I understand the Franco and Arnold relationship that you wanted to celebrate here today.
Didn't Franco actually train Sylvester for, I think it was the first 3 years?
Yeah, I think that one of the reasons why Sly got so ripped after he did the Rocky movie, he then totally changed his body, was because he trained with Franco, because Franco just said to him, I said, look, I think that you have good potential, but we got to put you on a diet, and we got to do more reps and more sets, and to really go and step it up into 2 hours of training every day. And that's what Sly did, besides all of his other training that he did, you know, fight scenes and all the choreographing, various different actions and all that. So he took it really seriously, and he was like really in fantastic shape. And I remember we did the movies at the same time. I was doing Coleman #2 in Mexico, and he was doing a lot of it in Mexico, shooting Rambo. So we were kind of doing it at the same time. And we were then very competitive amongst each other, because he was trying to outdo me, and I was trying to outdo him. And so it was like an all-out competition of who can sell more tickets at the box office, who can kill more people on the movie screen, who can kill people in a more violent way, who can use bigger knives, who can use larger guns. I mean, it was so crazy that in the end in Predator we used even the minigun, which is normally just on a helicopter. We didn't use it normally running around through the jungle and stuff like that. So we went really overboard with everything, just to kind of outdo each other. And so it was like absolutely insane kind of competition. And who has more muscles and who has less body fat and all that stuff. And there were lies flying around about that. But the body fat, and then all of a sudden, Sly had like 4% body fat. Under normal circumstances, he would be dead by having 4% body fat. And stuff. But it was pretty funny. I mean, but it eventually came to a crescendo, the whole thing. And then we started Planet Hollywood, the restaurant chain, and they wanted me to be their celebrity partner. And Sly's lawyer, who was also my lawyer, and Bruce Willis's lawyer, and Chucky Jane's lawyer. There was a tremendous conflict of interest there, but we don't want to get into that. It was very funny because he called me and he says, look, I know you're doing this big deal now with the Planet Hollywood people. Can we get Sly in there? Because otherwise he would kill me. He would be so jealous that you got the deal and not him. And I said to myself, even though at the height of his fighting, that I would go and just be gracious and make this kind of like be the point where we turn around our relationship. So I said yes, have him come in. As a matter of fact, I think he should have Bruce Willis also join us. And so that's how the whole thing began. And Bruce Willis and Sly and me were kind of the original partners then of Planet Hollywood. And we started traveling around the world, and Sly and I actually ended up becoming really best friends. And it was like one of those competitive things that we laugh about the whole thing.
Arnold, before we get too far in, on behalf of the athletes...
How can we get too far in? What does that really mean? I don't even know what that means, because everyone has a different interpretation of that. Let's figure it out now. What do you mean by that?
I'm going to have the best choice of words on that.
Thank you.
Just a segue. Nothing else.
If you told people that Chef Rush is sitting in front of us, yeah? Stand up for a second, Chef
Put up for Chef Rush.
Turn around and do a double bicep pose for the people here. Okay, because it's
Chef Rush is a good friend of ours, but he's been the chef at the White House for 4 administrations? 4 administrations, so...
Exactly, so...
we got bodybuilders in the White House.
So when you see Trump being a little bit overweight lately, it's his fault. Because he's not a Trump fan, so he wanted to fatten him up a little bit. But anyway, what you should know about Chef Rush is that he does 2,222 push-ups every day. And the reason why he does the 2-2-2-2 thing is because there's 22 suicides amongst the veterans every single day. 22. So this is why they put a spotlight on this issue. He does that. And not only that, but then he does bench press, because he bench presses over 600 pounds and all this stuff. I mean, he lifts hideous weights. And he has enormous arms, as you can see, and an enormous build. And when I read about him, I became a big fan of his, because someone that is dedicating himself and to do something for veterans, especially people that are so depressed that they commit suicide. I mean, imagine what it takes to commit suicide, to take your life. You have only one shot, right? And I mean, to take that away from yourself, it's unbelievable. There must be such pain. So anyway, he puts a spotlight on that, and he's doing a great, great job. So when I read about that story, we contacted him and we became very good friends. And he's just, he's so entertaining and has such a great personality that now he's moving out to California and he's going to go and get involved in entertainment business and writing books and all this kind of stuff. So we want him to have a different career. I mean, he is a cook now, so for so many presidents, keeping them in shape, so it's not time to do something different. So it's great to have you here. Give him a big hand.
Before we move along any further,
the other one was good too. I just wanted to be sure that you clarified with the audience here, what does that mean to get deeper into it? So.
On behalf of the athletes, I wanted to personally just say thank you. I know this weekend was very challenging. Big hats off to Bob Lorma, who's here in attendance today. Bob, great job this weekend. These uncharted waters, we actually opened the show with a little bit about that, but I know you fought personally that if, okay, we can't have any fans, fine, we can, but you were not going to let down about the athletes having a platform, all their hard work, and thank you for that.
Well, thank you very much, and I cannot take the credit for it myself, because as I said, Jim Lorma and Bob Lorma was right there. They were doing the battling it out here locally, and I was on the phone and FaceTime and all that kind of stuff. But it was very clear to all of us that if they can continue on with the basketball games in Ohio, which we all love to watch, and the ice hockey games, then it must be also safe for us to get together here in a room like this, or for yesterday the Arnold Classic, and the day before on Friday the Arnold Classic. So so that's what we fought for. We said it would be unfair to say okay to the others and not okay to us. So we were allowed to negotiate and to keep all of our sports here and to celebrate the athletes. We were just told not to sell any tickets and not to have any people participate in all these other sports. So it was a negotiation thing, and we understand that everyone is scared about all of this. I mean, hell, we know nothing about this virus, right? So it's like this disaster, and they just shut down almost the whole country in Italy, and no one is, there's like 14 million people cannot get in and out, and they're not allowed to travel, and they're quarantined, and also, so we don't know where all this is going to go in America. But one thing for me personally is I'm not that shocked about it, because when I was governor, I was dealing with emergencies all the time. I mean, we had fires in California. We always said, you wake up one morning as governor and you're told that we have 2,012 fires all over California. 2,012 fires. And you know you have limited resources because no one ever plans on 2,000 fires, right? So we dealt with emergencies. That was there, hands-on and traveling around, staying up sometimes 48 hours without sleeping, to run around and take care without this kind of problems. And so this is just another emergency that is coming up, and we have to deal with it in a reasonable way, and we have to work our way through it. That's what it is. So we're very happy that all of you could show up here today. We're very happy that so many that we had a packed house yesterday at the Arnold Classic under the circumstances, and that we could continue celebrating the athletic activities and the athletes that have been coming here and competing with 22,000 athletes participating in 85 different sports from 80 countries around the world. I mean, think about that. It's really extraordinary. And so this is what we want to continue on doing, even though under the circumstances, which is a limited audience.
Arnold, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, of course, we've had your buddy Franco on stage with us, in particular the last 2-3 years, and he's just always a riot, and you guys getting together always was a highlight for me personally, just because of the old stories, and Franco was just such a larger-than-life character. This had to hit you like a ton of bricks. I mean, I know you mentioned it in your remarks yesterday at the show, but if you could share with us a little bit, when you heard the news, I mean, it's got to be indescribable.
Well, it was, Franco had a heart problem, and it got more severe because for some reason or the other, he always kind of felt like he knew a little bit more than the doctors did. And so when the doctors say, take 4 of these pills Franco will say, well, what does he know? I'm going to just take 2. And so, so in the end, there was a problem because he did not take his medication the way he should have. And so I went to many of the doctor's appointments with him and sat there with him to basically, because the doctor asked me to come, because he couldn't get through to him. And so I would then say to Franco, I said, if he says you should take 4 of those pills, this is what you need to do. I mean, I said, that's simple. He knows exactly what he's talking about. And I said, we saw your tests. And so in any case, Franco sometimes wouldn't take his medication. And then there was a time where Franco's heart was in really bad shape. And again, I took him to see the Sinai Hospital, and I wanted to have him checked in. We stayed there for a few days, and you get tests. So that we know every single angle about his heart problem. How much is the lung, and how much is the kidney, and how much is this, and how much is that. And Franco would say, well, not right now, I don't want to check in because I'm still planning to go to Italy for a celebration. He donated some bells for a clock tower for a local church where he came from all alive. And so they had a celebration to hang those bells up there. I said, look, we can hang the bells up later on. There's no emergency. Let's just do it some other time. I said, just stay in the hospital. No, I want to go to Italy. So we warned him. The doctors warned him that I wanted not to go to Italy. And he snuck out. He snuck out. And he just left one day without telling me, and he left for Italy, and everything was dandy and fine. And he was then sending me pictures from Italy. I'm now here in Ololai. And he looked great in the photographs. And then, sure enough, the next day, he did a walk on the beach, and he all of a sudden falls over and he's dead. And so I don't think that they were really prepared. It was one of those villages where they didn't have kind of a rescue team there. We didn't say this. And it was one of those, sad situations where a helicopter came. Then they figured out that the helicopter couldn't land at the beach. And then they had to wait for an ambulance, and they took another half an hour in order. By that time, he was dead. And so that was the sad story, that really he passed away way too early, and it was a tremendous kind of pain to me because I think besides his wife and his daughter, Debbie and Maria, I think besides them, I think he was much closer to him than me. And I spent so much time with him, and not just in the gym, but also we lived together, and we traveled together, we competed together, we did movies together, we partied together. I mean, it was, we were really like soulmates and very, very close friends. And there's nothing that was about my life that Franco didn't know, and there was nothing about his life that I didn't know. We shared everything, and we also were good in keeping each other's secrets. And so it was just a wonderful relation, unlike anything else. And he was just such a great inspiration, so many brilliant people, and so fun. I mean, but it's like, in the old days we trained together, we had so many laughs training together. This was in the old days where we still had laughs in the gym. Today, I don't see bodybuilders having any laughs. I mean, you saw yesterday on stage. I mean, did you see yesterday anyone on stage smiling?
I saw William smiling right towards the end of the show.
Because he won. No, but I mean, but you have to admit that in most cases, when you guys went out into the audience, that's when I saw smiles, and that's when I saw everyone coming alive. And this is what I actually would like to see on stage. But everyone comes out with this dramatic music and there's church bells in the background, and there's all this drama, and there's this orchestra starting. It's kind of like you're watching, Wagner or some opera or something like that. And it's really serious. And I said to myself, I hope this routine is now going to turn into something fun. And no, we're looking like this, And I said to myself, so Triple H is sitting next to me, and he says, now tell me, hey, this guy's pissed off. This Triple H knows everything about bodybuilding, he's one himself, right? Besides being a great wrestler and a great promoter now. But I mean, so he leaned over to me and he says, so tell me, I've seen now the seventh guy. He says, do you think they're pissed off? I said, no. I think they're really happy that they're competing here on the stage. I said, why? He said, they look so pissed off. So I said, no, I think they have maybe a coach. Maybe there's the same coach, the posing coach. They're just all kind of talking and he's taken seriously, you have to be serious, and you have to take some serious music and some drama, and you have to add some drama to the whole thing. And so it was really amazing, you know, that in the old days we laughed about everything, you know, even on stage there were funny moments, we were whispering nonsense into each other's ears to throw the other person off, you know. And you know, I would ask Frank Zane on stage, you know, were you sick lately because you look a little sick? And then himself right away taking his arms out. It's absurd, right? But I mean, this is kind of, so we had fun up there, you know, with Sergio and me posing up there. We always talked to each other, and he was trying to tell me nonsense, and I was trying to tell him nonsense. And there were certain laughs, and then after when we went off the stage, we laughed about it, and we went out for dinner together. And so it was a more fun, it seemed to be a little bit more fun time. But the bottom line is just, is that Franco and I, we had so many laughs in the gym and on stage.
Funny.
And then later on, when he didn't come to the gym that much anymore, he worked a lot more at home, we were playing chess at least twice a week. And he would come over to my house, and we would just play chess. And then again the laugh started. He started ordering a glass of wine, and then he started ordering another glass of wine. And so by that time, I started winning. So that was a good red one for him. The first he came in, and he would beat me. The first game, the second game, he would beat me. And after one glass of wine, I would start periodically winning. Then he got the second glass of wine, then I started winning more. And then after the third glass, I started running. I started winning everything. It was hilarious. And we were sitting there like 2 in the morning. So I miss those moments. I mean, it's like, there's no one that I had that much fun with than Franco Columbu. He was just a very unique character. And he also had, I mean, a heart that is as big as his room. I mean, he had the biggest heart that you can imagine. And he was so giving and just always kind of never thinking about himself, always thinking about other people.
In many years, you found yourself sharing a stage with a man named Sergio Oliva last night. Tell us about that.
Well, it was like really a great moment to see the son of the man that you competed with and the man that you respected. I mean, I was like, always when I was even younger, like when I was like 18, I mean, Sergio came on the scene in 1965. He came really in the scene with the Mr. America contest. And then he competed in the Mr. World competition, and he won. The AAU totally screwed him, because the AAU was prejudice. The AAU bodybuilding and weightlifting, that federation, Bob Hoffman, it was horrible. The black guys will be much better than the white guys at a particular year, not always, but at a particular year. And they will lose the competition under the auspices, you're too muscular, or you don't have the perfect body, or some nonsense. And so they would escape the AAU, and they will come up with the IFBB. And that very same year, literally a few months later, they will win Mr. World, like Sergio Oliva. He will be getting beaten by Bob Guider, who was a great bodybuilder. But he was not Sergio Oliva. Sergio Oliva should have won Mr. America in 1965. And then he came over to the IFBB, he won Mr. World, and then in 1966, he won Mr. Universe, and And in 1967, he won Mr. Olympia. And in 1968, he won Mr. Olympia. And in 1969, he beat me and all the others, and he won Mr. Olympia. So that's the way it was with the IFBB. You know, the IFBB, Ben Weider, Joe Weider, didn't have a prejudice bone in their body. Everyone was equal. And maybe it had something to do with being Jewish, you know, because they felt always prosecuted and persecuted and all that, that they felt like, I think we should be a perfect example and always be tolerant and always be inclusive and accept the other people and all this. So I was always very, very proud of the IFBB. As a matter of fact, we have here Wayne from South Africa, who is our partner for the Arnold Classic in South Africa, and he knows the history of prejudice in South Africa. And here was in 1975, when blacks and whites were totally separated in South Africa. And they asked us to have the Mr. Olympia competition in South Africa. And Ben Weider would sit down with the Minister of Sports and he would tell them, he said, we would love to have the competition in South Africa, but only under one circumstance. And he said, what is that? And he says that blacks and whites can compete with each other and against each other, that black and white audience can be together in the same auditorium. There was different categories. There was blacks, there was whites, there was colored, there was Asian, there was what was the other group? There was another fifth group or something like that. There was like all kinds of different groups. But anyway, everyone can be in the same room, in the same auditorium. And the Minister of Sports, Dr. Kornhoff was his name, happened to be kind of very progressive guy. And he said, absolutely, I'm going to go to the Prime Minister and I'm going to fight for that. And he did. And he fought for it, and we were able to do it. So we were, the IFBB Mr. Olympia was the first competition, first sports competition in South Africa that had a mixed audience, mixed judges, and mixed athletes on a stage. The first. So that's why I'm so proud of